YouTube, what's going on? How's it going? Massive. Welcome back to the woods for another video. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about the best settings for playing on controller. Now, some of these settings I believe are going to be absolutely crucial for anybody playing, and some of these settings are very preferential to what you find comfortable and what works for you. Now, I think there is one setting in here that absolutely every player that plays Warzone must be using in order to make the game run smoother and feel a lot more natural while playing a battle royale kind of game. This intro isn't going to be very long. As a matter of fact, we're just going to jump into it now. Make sure if you guys do like the content you're seeing, you drop a like down below, comment on what else you would like to see, what I did well in this video, what I did not do well in this video, and also subscribe if you like what you're seeing for more Call of Duty Warzone gameplay and tips and tricks videos. Now that we're done with the self promo, let's move into the video. Alright, we're going to keep my lovely face off the screen this time just so you guys can see the whole layout here and see exactly what I am doing. We're going to start off with the button layout preset. This is just a different way to map your buttons. They're preset things by Call of Duty. Big tip for you guys, if you are playing on PS4, you can remap all of your buttons to exactly how you want them. You can look up any remapping PS4 controller buttons video on YouTube to find that information out. That is just something I don't want to add in this video right now. Commenting on that, the button layout preset I use is tactical. And in all reality, I am actually playing on tactical flip. The way you would flip your L1 and L2 is by pressing square. This means you are now ADSing and then shooting with your bumpers. So L1 and R1 rather than L2 and R2. Now, like that whole button remapping I was just talking about, I did that already on my PS4. So whenever I play on my PS4, I do not have to enable the flipped option. I did this because I think it was Fortnite at first. They didn't let you switch that. So I had to remap it on PS4 a long time ago. Now, whenever I play on PC or any other console that is not mine, I always flip my buttons so that I am aiming and shooting with L1 and R1. The reason I use tactical here is from MW2, I believe, was the first time I switched it to tactical, and that was just so I could drop shot while still aiming with my right analog stick. Back in the day, I wasn't playing claw. I wasn't using my finger to press on my buttons while keeping my thumb on the right analog stick for aiming, so I would always have to hold down circle and then aim with R3 to be able to shoot and drop shot. This obviously did not work very well, so I switched over to tactical so I could crouch, prone, and slide now in this Call of Duty as well while still aiming. Now, the stick layer preset, I just leave it as normal. I'm not trying to do anything fancy like inverted or anything like that, so I just leave it as default, and I believe most people do as well. Inverted vertical look, absolutely not. I will be leaving that disabled. I am not sure what is fast and considered fast nowadays for sensitivity on Call of Duty, but I play on 1010. And then my ADS sensitivity is put to 0.65. 1010, the reason I like the sensitivity was I would play search and destroy, game battles, and wagers, and that's all I would ever play competitively. I would not play much of pub. So being able to look around quickly and snap from opponent to opponent when you know where they are is very, very helpful. And now over the years, I've just gotten used to this kind of sensitivity here. If this is considered high, then this high sensitivity, and I'm just stuck with it. Doesn't matter what I play. So I love the sensitivity. It helps me just look around and feel like I'm playing a lot faster than I actually am. Now, for sensitivity as well, this is going to be something very preferential to each person. I would highly suggest you pick a sensitivity and you stick with it. If you make minimal changes here and there, that's fine, but I would not suggest making big changes over and over again. The biggest thing to help with your aim is to stay consistent and practice, especially with the same settings over and over. Do not switch them around too much. My aim response curve is dynamic. I actually don't understand all the curves in depth. However, I do know that linear is probably going to be the worst option for anybody playing on a controller. Linear is going to make your right analog stick feel like a mouse. If you want it to be smooth, if you want it to be better for finer aiming, finer movements on your right analog stick, you're going to want to switch to something like standard or dynamic. I personally find dynamic is the most smooth. Linear, I find, it's all over the place. You touch your analog stick a little bit, it's moving like crazy. You're playing now on a DPI rather than a sensitivity. It's nuts. Controller vibration. Some people play with this on and it rattles me. It really does baffle me. Turn this off. I guarantee you it's going to make a huge difference. Turn this off. My aim assist is standard. I don't like the other aim assist. I feel like it really messes with my aim. I'm used to standard aim assist. I'm not trying to go crazy. This isn't Fortnite. It's not the same. This is, again, another thing that you will have to play with. Find what suits you, what is more preferential to you and stick with it. This is another preferential one, weapon mount activation. There are many different options here. There's disabled, so you can't mount your weapon. There's the ADS plus melee, and then there's just the ADS when you're close to it. I personally like the double tap. It really does give me the option of what I want to do without having to press too many buttons. I personally do not like the ADS plus melee, as I feel it's kind of strange to press 2 different buttons to mount your weapon. When I get near a wall, if I want to mount, I will just double tap quickly and hold it. Weapon mount movement. I am using disabled here, as whenever you ADS, all you do is hold. So for my weapon mount activation, all I do is I double tap, and on my second tap, I will hold my ADS to stay on where I want to mount. If I want to jump off that ADS so I can jump away from the wall, all I have to do is let go from the ADS, which I find works very, very well. Another preferential thing, but I do think disabled makes the most sense. Aim down sight behavior, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will have the same things here. This is hold, this is generic for every single Call of Duty you've ever played. Toggling is just very strange in my eyes. I just hold to ADS, so that way every time I'm holding down my L1 button, for others L2, I'm aiming down sights of my weapon to get a more precise aim. The other option here is to toggle. So to toggle, that means you tap and then it's going to stay in ADS mode until you tap it again. As you can see here, switches my ADS and melee, my weapon mount activation. Strange, I'm switching that back. Equipment behavior. This is again for holding to cook your nades and your stuns, rather than again toggle option, which is to press it and then to press again to throw. I believe holding is much more fluid and is much more preferential and comfortable to do when playing the game. It makes a lot more sense. It feels a little bit more realistic. Now here comes the biggest setting that you are going to need for Warzone. The most important setting you are going to want to have on. I don't care who you are. This one makes the most sense out of all of these settings. Your use and reload behavior. When you first load up into Warzone, most of you are probably going to have this on tap to reload, which is the default setting, and it makes the most sense. When it comes to pubs, when it comes to pub games, tap to reload makes sense, and everybody will understand this. This basically means when you press tap on your reload button, minus square, most people's is square I believe, you will reload your weapon. Makes sense. This then means when it comes to using items, opening doors, interacting with the environment, you will hold square to do those actions. So for example, when you probably first loaded up Warzone, you would have noticed that you had to hold square to loot items. This does not make the game very fast when it comes to looting. It does not make it very smooth. You'll find yourself not picking up items when you think you should have already. Like in Fortnite, you can run just through items. You can quickly just spam square and pick up a bunch of different things. To make this happen in Warzone as well, here's what you're going to do. You have two options here. You can go to tap to use. What's awkward about tap to use is you will have to hold square to reload every time. I personally did not like that at all. This does let you pick up everything very, very quickly. Again, it's just tapping square to interact with the map and pick up items while looting. However, having to reload by holding square every time does not feel comfortable and does not feel like muscle memory in a sense from all previous Call of Duty, so I do not like this setting. The next setting is what is key. Contextual tap. This is tap to reload or use. Let's say you're in a gunfight with somebody, you can just tap square to reload. You can also, whenever you're looting buildings, opening doors, you can just tap square as well. Here's where the difference is with this contextual tap. Let's say you are in a gunfight with an enemy with things around you for you to interact with. For example, a buy station or door, or maybe you're in the middle of loot while shooting somebody. If you need to go to reload, it is going to prioritize holding square as a reload rather than interacting with the environment around you. If you're in the middle of loot and you try to press square to reload your weapon, you will pick up a different weapon around you or pick up items around you instead. If you were laying down in that loot and you need to reload, you must reload. Hold square and it will prioritize reloading. It is a great setting. I highly, highly recommend this for Warzone. It is very rare that you actually have to hold square to reload. It does not happen often. You can usually get away from any environment or interaction buttons and you can just tap square to reload. If you have not already switched, I suggest you do that before watching the rest of this video so you don't forget. The next setting here is depleted ammo weapon switch. I personally have this to disabled as I do not like automatically switching to my secondary weapon. I would rather have control of that. This is just another thing that I am now comfortable with after playing many Call of Duties. It is kind of a different setting they added to this one just to force you to switch weapons when you run out of ammo. I would like to have control of what I am doing. Another preferential setting for you guys can decide what you like better. Moving on to the movement here, this is the final setting group, And I've made some changes here that I think will also benefit many people playing. Now let me explain here. This is the slide behavior. It was preset to hold, and some of you may already hold your slide button. I changed it to tap, and it makes sense. Just think, let's say you were in your full tactical sprint or sprinting. How often are you trying to go from a full sprint to a crouch? Not very often. Usually you just want to tap. This makes it a lot easier to get that slide in without accidentally crouching and slowing down your movement while trying to run and move and not be shot. If you switch this to tap every time you are sprinting, tactical sprinting, trying to bob and weave shots, trying to get to cover, you can quickly just tap your crouch button and it will make you slide. I find when I first started this game, I had it on hold and I was accidentally crouching many times while in my full sprint, and I did not like that at all. It was definitely getting me killed a couple of times when trying to get to cover. Switching to tap will never mess you up when trying to get that slide in. Like I said, generally when you're in that full sprint, you want to just slide anyway. You're not trying to go to a crouch. If you want to crouch, you can still have it on tap, you just don't be sprinting. This to me almost works like contextual tap in a way for the use reload behavior. I really do think this is a very beneficial setting for anybody who's trying to get your movement down. The next setting here is auto move forward. I kind of feel like playing around with this setting a little bit. I personally have it on disabled right now. Again, it's another thing I want to be in control of with my movement. However, when it comes to Warzone, and if you need to drop cash or you need to help your teammates drop some loot for them, I feel like auto move forward would be kind of a good setting to be able to allow you to move forward while also using your other fingers to help you comfortably drop stuff for them while being on the move rather than having to stand still. I personally am going to keep it on disabled, but again, another preferential setting for you guys. This next setting here, I would highly suggest it. Again, up to you guys how you want to do it, what's preferred for you. This is the automatic sprint. Now I put this setting on because I was having issues with one of my controllers and my left analog stick where my sprint was kind of getting stuck and it wouldn't let me sprint, or it would stop my sprint while I am pushing down on L3. So I put this setting on so at any time that I am pushing forward and trying to sprint, it will put me into my automatic tactical sprint when it is available, and I had no movement issues after. I've since gotten a new controller. Everything's running smooth now, but I am so used to this control and it is very, very good for my movement and just being able to run and sprint whenever I have it available, that I'm leaving it on here, and I think it is a good idea for you guys to maybe take a look at it as well. Vehicle camera recenter, I have this enabled. This is something, again, another preferential one. I've always just left it on this setting. I'm used to it now. Whatever you guys prefer, highly suggest you use. Now, one extra setting I am going to tell you guys, this has nothing to do with your controller. This can be on PC, this can be on PS4, Xbox, whatever. Something in your general settings you should really disable is your world motion blur and your weapon motion blur. I also suggest changing your mini-map shape to square, as it, look how much larger the map is. When you're playing Warzone, you want as much coverage as you can get. Change the map to square. You're all set. You're going to see a lot more of the map, and it's going to help you guys out in little clutch situations as well. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below, comment, and make sure you share it, because I'd really appreciate it. It really helps the channel grow. You guys can catch me on twitch.tv/ConnorWoods. I'm live every night from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern. I'm also on quarantine right now, so you guys can catch me sometimes during the mornings as well. Also, check me out on twitter.com/IamConnorWoods for any updates. If you want to tweet at me, ask any questions, ask what videos you want me to do. I'm very, very active on there, and I will respond to you almost every single time you ask a question. Thank you guys very much for chilling with me today in the woods. I hope I have solved some setting questions for anybody out there, and I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Thank you guys very much for chilling with me today in the woods. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time. Au revoir!